If you would please stand for the presentation of colors by the Newport News Police Department's Honor Guard and the singing of the national anthem by Miss Toni Lewis, followed by the Newport News Police Department's Pipes and Drum Band.
Honor Guard! Ho! Forward! Up! Mark time! Mark! Detail! Up! Look! Hey! Breathe, Zach! Whoa!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order! On! Right? Hey! Forward! Mark!
Good morning again, and thank you for being patient with us, and thank you for attending. I would like to welcome award recipients, families, distinguished guests, and members of the Newport News Police Department to our 2020 award ceremony. I would also like to thank Pastor Willard Maxwell for letting us use this beautiful sanctuary for our service, and to the Newport News Police Department Police Foundation and Huntington Ingalls for their continued support. Chaplain Don Reed will now provide the invocation.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you today with humble hearts and with gratefulness for all the wonders and blessings you have showered upon us. Thank you for bringing us safely together again to honor and celebrate the contributions that are represented here this morning. We ask your continued blessings on those who have earned awards and those who come in support of them and their accomplishments. I pray that you will fill each one with satisfaction at the great work that they are doing for the sake of our community and their country. Equip all those who protect and serve with your wisdom and humility as they do their best for you. Keep us all and those we love safe and strong. Grant us success in every good endeavor as we serve our community, our nation, and our world. Be with us this hour and every hour, I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Reed. Lavender Oman, a young adult police commissioner and student at Heritage High School, will now offer remarks.
Good morning. I'm Lavender Oman. I'm a young adult police commissioner, and I'm a youth representative for the Newport News Human Rights Commission. I've worked with Chief Drew in the Newport News Police Department for 2 years now. I can see the core of this at our police department is community, and care for the community is the top priority. We live in a changing world, and it takes hard work and dedication to keep up. In this time of health crisis, we have seen Americans reach their limit of little progress or standstill. Officers, I know that a collective expression of fear is that sometimes you will not make it home, and not all of you have. However, I should let you know that there are people in our community who feel the same way for a reason beyond their job. These are hard times to think about and hard things to think about. I know that when I was younger, I had a hard time understanding myself, why people would think this, until I felt the fear myself. It's horrible, and I promised myself my best to listen, learn, and speak out about other people's experiences. I ask you to do the same, because it is time to move forward and make our best community ever better. It is hard to speak up for something that has happened to you, and even harder to speak out for others' experiences. I know this. However, this is how we make progress, and I thank you for doing your part to prepare the future to be better for all of us. We are here today to talk about the amazing work each of you have done for our city. You all have been asked to do so much for our city, and you are here because you've done that and more. And seeing our world seems to be filled with negativity right now, it is now time for your positive accolades you all deserve, because you take care of each and every person in Newport News. Congrats to each of to each of you recipients to continue to serve and to work towards goals and achievements that are deserving praise, and thank you all for your service.
We will now have remarks from our Chief of Police, Steve Drew.
Does that sound all right? I will be brief, but I'm surprised you knew what the word copious meant. That was pretty impressive. Yeah, you rolled right off your tongue. Lavender, that was outstanding. I think everybody thought you had that memorized, and nobody else did, so you did great. Chaplain Reed, thank you so much for being here and our beginning with prayer. First, I would like to echo what Lieutenant Howser said. I want to thank Pastor Maxwell and his staff, his church, and his congregation for allowing us to use this beautiful sanctuary. He is a tremendous supporter of the police, but he's also a tremendous supporter of community and a mentor of mine, and we have a lot of good and strong conversations. So I do want to thank his church and, again, Pastor Maxwell for allowing us to be here today. I want to make sure that I thank Kelly King and her staff, the Media Relations Office, Jamie and Maynard, and everyone Sarah who put this together. It is a little different with the way we're structured, but that's all right. We have to make changes and make things fit. You know, I was counting when I was up there, and I think we're right at exactly like 48 or 50. So you all did really well, very, very successful. So what we're here today for? Well, first, I also want to thank our city manager for being here, Miss Cindy Roth. Thanks for being here. We also have a lot of long and strong conversations, and I appreciate your support. It is a blessing to work in a city where you have those type of relationships with your city manager, the mayor, and city council that want the best for this city, and it shows and it matters in how we do things and how we move forward, much like Lavender was saying. So we are here today to talk about awards. It is trying times in our community and trying times in our country. It runs across our TV screen every evening. Any news outlet that you turn on, different versions, but we see the same images running across. And at a time that the country's divided, in the midst of elections that are coming up, and situations and conversations that go on about police reform, men and women still come to work, still answer 180, 190,000 radio calls a year, still provide quality service. We do make mistakes. We do not always get it right. But I will tell you, I have not worked for another agency, group, that has ever tried so hard to continue to reinvent itself, to be progressive, and to make changes. Not waiting for something to happen in this country or in our city, but looking, how do we do things better? When Chief Hudgens brings back a program from Seattle about how to address individuals with mental health, when Chief Randall says there are some departments that are under consent decrees that have federal guidelines of what they must do, and he's asked those individuals to come here and educate us so we never fall into that category. That is progressive thinking. That's not waiting for something to happen. Those things didn't just start happening this year. We've been talking about them in November and December of last year. And I am blessed to have such great leadership with me. And I appreciate you, Chief Randall and Chief Hudgens, both for being here today and what you do for this department. Today is about the men and women, the outstanding work, sworn and civilian, as well as citizens of this community that have stepped up and reclaimed and done great things. I am every day, if my assistant was here, every day there's emails and phone calls that come in and just say thank you. Thank you for this response. Thank you for helping me with my son. Thank you for helping me with my daughter. Thank you for helping my family with this domestic violence situation. Thank you for being there. My son or my daughter needs help with drug addiction. Individuals that are homeless and struggle. And when they dial 911, we always respond. I am blessed to work in such a great city, and even more blessed and honored to work with the men and women who wear this uniform. Civilians that come to work and do the work behind the scenes. It is truly amazing. I wish you could stand in my shoes for a day and see the things that they do. We have seen situations across our country, but I don't know how many have seen officers paying light bills, bringing food to someone in need, buying toys for children at Christmas, delivering them, becoming counselors, mentors, coaching basketball, and all the things that we miss in between, the birthdays and the holidays and the recitals and the sporting events. Now, we complain just like everybody else. But we get up and we do it again, 24 hours a day. This is the greatest police department in the United States. From our trainers, our background investigators, our dispatchers, and I will tell you, I'm going to share with you here, I want Newport News to be the first city in the country, certainly in the state, that recognizes our dispatchers as first responders. When we talk about things that officers do and the stress and the calls that we go on, when those individuals take those phone calls, that's the first responder. That hears those situations on that in an earpiece, they can't see what's going on, but they hear those things. And they're sending officers and people screaming out and asking for help. They do amazing work. Our director here, Fran, I want to thank you for what you do. For the first time in I don't know how many years, we're going to be fully staffed in dispatch at the end of the year. I believe that is you and your leadership, Captain Bradley, the background investigators. Well, you guys are doing an amazing job. And Chief Hudgens, I know I give you a hard time, but you have delivered, and I'm so excited to have that place fully staffed. We work you guys way too hard, and I greatly appreciate you. All right? So we're going to get started. Lieutenant Howser, I think you're going to come back up and make your way through these notes you've got written here, right? You need any help doing it, or you?
No, I think we need to give you a script, sir.
You got it?
Yes, I think I got it.
All right. Well, I'm going to go down here and hand out some notes, some awards. Then.
Yes, sir.
Jamie, you're going to. Who'd you tell me you were going to be today? I shouldn't say it though. Jamie's going to help me hand out awards. All right. Help me down.
Thank you. It's now time for our awards presentations. As I call your name, please come join Chief Drew down front. Okay? All right. Our first award this evening is to recognize those employees who have dedicated 25 years of service to the police department. We thank you for your devotion, tenure, and for choosing the Newport News Police Department. Detective John Rock.
Some of them may need some help getting up here if they've been here 25 years.
Not John Rock, sir. Not John Rock. Is Miss Danita Hires here? Sergeant Gerald Luce. Detective Michael Waxman. All of them were unable to join us today. However, it is important that we recognize them, and they will be presented with their awards at a later date. Our next award is the Citizen Service Award, which is presented to a citizen for an act of bravery while assisting the police department or one of its employees, rendering help to an officer or a police department employee, or providing significant assistance to law enforcement in solving a case. The first award goes to Mr. Thomas Slade. While shopping at a local department store, Mr. Slade encountered an extremely agitated person and an officer attempting to de-escalate the person to resolve the matter peacefully. Unfortunately, the person continued to yell, and the situation actually escalated to the point where it became necessary for the officer to detain him. The individual resisted and became extremely combative when Mr. Slade stepped in to assist the officer. It was only because of Mr. Slade's assistance that the person was safely detained. Neither he nor the officer sustained injuries. Mr. Slade, thank you for your courage and willingness to assist one of our officers in their time of need. Thank you, sir. Miss Aliyah Casey. Miss Casey was unable to join us this morning, and her award will be presented to her personally at a later date. Would representatives from Jamestown Apartments Management please step forward? Is Miss Taylor Bushley or Miss Tina Williams here? All right. We will, again, present that award to them at a later date. Mr. Bill Gogans. While traveling down Oyster Point Road, Mr. Gogans observed a motorist driving recklessly and speeding. The driver eventually crashed, and Mr. Gogans stopped to render assistance. The driver took off again and ran into a tree while almost hitting a pedestrian. You remained on scene until officers arrived and were able to provide a detailed statement. Because of your assistance, the driver was determined to be impaired with an alcohol level of 0.12. You then agreed to testify before court, which led to a successful conviction, taking a dangerous driver off the streets. Your assistance and concern for the safety of our fellow citizens and dedication to your civic duties are admirable and serve as an example for others. Thank you, sir. Ms. Raven Simmons and Mr. Lawrence Parker. All right, again, I don't believe they were able to join us this morning, but they will be presented with their awards personally at a later date. Ms. Phyllis Mather. Ms. Mather has worked very hard for the last 4 years to organize and cook amazing meals for the officers who work on Christmas Day. It is difficult for others to be away from their families during the holidays. Ms. Mather makes it so much better by providing an elaborate Christmas dinner with all the sides. She does this for all 3 precincts and all shifts, feeding hundreds of officers. Thank you, Ms. Mather, for caring about our officers, your compassion, and your amazing food. And come on up, Officer Mather.
Who is this young man?
This young man works in Central Precinct and is one of our stars there, sir.
You happen to know this nice lady?
Our next award is the Outstanding Contribution to Law Enforcement by a Civilian Employee. This is awarded to Ms. Jennifer Smith. Police aide Jennifer Smith was instrumental in the apprehension and arrest of 2 serial burglars. The burglars included stolen weapons, tactical equipment, and body armor. She assisted a group of sworn officers in the quick apprehension of the suspects, keeping these illegal weapons off the streets of Newport News. Thank you for being part of this team, and most assuredly has made our community a safer place. Thank you. Now we're going to move along to the Chief's Award. Every 50 minutes, someone dies at the hands of an impaired driver. The Chief's Award is an expression of gratitude for exemplary performance to the following officers who are helping to change this statistic. They are the top arresting officers for DUIs in 2019. Most assuredly, their work has saved many lives. To each of you, we say thank you. As I call your name, please come forward with your family and join Chief Drew. Police Officer Jeffrey Ingram. And let me get that correct. Master Police Officer Jeffrey Ingram.
Put you together, and then we're going to get one with the family, all right? Let me get one for the Christmas tree.
Officer Corey Sadler. No, I'm moving out of the way. Maynard, let me know if I'm getting ready to fall off. Officer Adam Smith. Officer Hak Jae Kim. I don't believe he was able to make it this morning. Officer Joel Garber. And again, I don't believe he will be able to make it this morning. We will present those awards at a later date. The next Outstanding Police Performance Award goes to Sergeant James Good, Officer Matthew Golson, Sergeant Eric Kempf, Sergeant Jeffrey Monroe, Detective Marley Griffin, Sergeant Frank Vito, Master Police Officer Adrian Walker, Officer Stephen Decker, Officer Ashley Everett, Detective Brian Jenkins, Detective Nicole Robbs, Detective Angel Wright, Officer Donald Anderson, and Officer Gregory Barnhart. These officers are receiving this award as a result of the apprehension of 2 serial burglars. 5 homes were burglarized over a 12-hour period in the north part of the city. Included in the stolen items were multiple weapons and ammunition. And if these offenders were not caught quickly, these weapons could potentially have had a devastating impact on violent crime in our city. However, because of your speedy and detailed teamwork, the suspects were apprehended quickly and the stolen items were recovered. Your outstanding teamwork stopped a crime in progress and ultimately resulted in the closure of several other cases. Congratulations and thank you for your service. Our next award will be Dispatcher of the Year. The Dispatcher of the Year award is presented to Dispatcher 2, Miss Tiffany Wayland. I believe she stepped out. Fran, are you, Miss Mangum, are you in the room?
I'm accepting it for
Okay, all right.
You guys come on and get a picture together. Come on up here and get a picture. I know it's a long walk all the way.
Ms. Whalen is receiving this award for her detailed dedication and commitment to achieving excellence on a daily basis. Last year, she successfully completed and earned certification in APCO's crisis negotiation for dispatchers, completed the general instructor certification with DCJS, and became an instructor for APCO's Law Enforcement Academy. She received awards in February and August 2019 for going above and beyond the call of duty. In July of 2019, she was instrumental in the safety of officers involved with an armed suicidal and homicidal subject. Putting crisis negotiation skills to use, she calmly and professionally convinced the suspect to exit the residence and surrender without incident. In April, she also played a pivotal role in getting help to an injured officer and civilian during an extremely chaotic incident, never faltering. She continued to strive for excellence in her career, and we thank her for her service. The next award will be the Life-Saving Rescue Medal. The Life-Saving Rescue Medal is awarded to an employee who takes reasonable action in an attempt to save a life where the recipient was not placed in personal danger. The first medal goes to Master Police Officer Jeffrey Wright and Officer David Mather. On June 8th, 2019, a call for service was received regarding a 30-year-old suicidal woman threatening to jump from the top story of a parking garage. Officer Mather made first contact with the woman and coordinated to get a negotiator while engaging the woman in conversation. As Officer Mather tried to establish a rapport and keep her calm, NPO Jeffrey Wright arrived to assist. Seeing that the woman was perched precariously on the ledge and feeling that a fall from that height would surely be fatal, NPO Wright took advantage of Officer Mather's distracting conversation, snuck up behind her, snatched her from the ledge in a bear hug, and brought her to safety. The swift action of NPO Wright, coupled with Officer Mather's assistance, saved this woman from a potential fatal suicide attempt. The officers went on to reassure her that she would be getting the help that she needed. Congratulations, and thank you for your service. The next Life-Saving Rescue Medal goes to Michael J. Blanks. Officer Michael Blanks. On September the 12th, 2019, officers were dispatched to a convenience store on Jefferson Avenue in reference to a 4-year-old who was not breathing, and while en route, the call was upgraded to a code blue. Master Police Officer Mike Blanks was first on scene and immediately took over cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR. I wish I'd have written that in my notes. Forgoing his personal protection equipment until units arrived on scenes. Through immediate and selfless action during a stressful and life-threatening situation, Master Police Officer Blanks placed his own health at risk, demonstrating his commitment to the community and the life of a 4-year-old child. Thank you for your service and commitment. Officer Kinder Drucker. Okay. The next Life-Saving Rescue Medal goes to Officer Stephen McKinley. On November 12, 2019, officers were dispatched to 26th Street in reference to a possible drowning of a child. Upon arrival, Officer McKinley was attempting to dislodge water and debris from the child's airway and then began chest compressions. Medics arrived on scene and took over CPR. The child regained consciousness on scene and was transported to a local hospital. Had Officer McKinley not begun CPR when he did, the child's survival would have been questionable. Thank you, Officer McKinley, for your quick thinking and commitment to our community.
How old is the child?
I believe 4, sir.
1-year-old.
1-year-old.
So you can see by his, our census is going up in Newport News, but it's not here. But to you all, you should be very proud of your father. He's here.
The next award is the Chief's Award for Gun Confiscation. In 2019, 886 illegal weapons were seized in Newport News, a 31% increase over 2018.
Stop you there.
Go ahead.
How many firearms?
886 illegal firearms.
That was a record for our city. We've never had that many guns recovered. And it also led to a reduction in homicides and a reduction in shootings. This is the lowest since 2012. That is a phenomenal number for a city this size. That is tremendous police work.
Chief stole my thunder. However, in addition, if we stay on course in 2020, we will exceed that by another 12%. Because of the diligent police work, the following officers recovered 5 or more weapons in 2019 and most assuredly contributed to the overall reduction in crime we experienced last year. Thank you for your service. Please come forward as I call your name. Officer Philip Valdez Jr., MPO Brian Hayward, Officer Eric Nunez, MPO William Jesse, Officer Peter Halton, Officer Hunter Hopkins, Officer Robert McCartney, Officer Stephen Collins, Officer Larry Holland, Officer Taylor R. Powell, Officer Delphine, Officer Thomas Allen, Officer Lee Bradbury, Officer Maxwell Everett, Officer Christopher Fundak, Officer Allison Sprinkle, Detective Glenn Marshall, Officer Akaratovic Daniel, Officer Andrew Amarillo, Officer Christian Paulino, and Officer Ryan Ralph, Officer Brian Torres, Officer Dwight Peterson, and Officer Alexander Granville.
Firearms that these gentlemen have taken off the streets have made a tremendous difference in our city. And I cannot tell each of you how proud I am of you. I know some of those situations have been very, very dangerous. You put yourselves in harm's way, protecting other citizens, and I'm proud of each and every one of you. It does make a difference, and I appreciate you. Let's get a shot. Yes, sir.
Chief, I think they were expecting you to take a knee in front, like a football coach.
I don't know if I can get up.
All right. Before I hand over the microphone to Chief Drew for our final awards, I would like to recognize the following for earning awards from some of our community partners. The Crime Stoppers Award. Each year, Virginia Peninsula Crime Stoppers honors law enforcement officers and civilians for each of the 7 peninsula jurisdictions who have gone above and beyond what is required of their job. Winners are chosen based on nominations from their respective chief. This year, the Crime Stoppers Award for sworn officers goes to the following: Master Police Officer Jamie Acree, Officer Josh Black, Master Police Officer Donald Greathouse, and Master Police Officer Valerie Young.
Lieutenant Morgan, this will be coming to your office, all right? Captain Tejan's here? Whoa, you guys come back up here. Come on, Captain Tejan.
Captain Tejan's?
And Melissa, come on. Good? All right, where's Captain Tejan at?
He's coming, sir.
Let me get one with you, hold right here in the middle. Captain, no, you put, I'm gonna put Captain Tejan's in the middle. Here you go, Val. What? There you go. Hardest part of the day. Great job.
There was also a Civilian Crime Stoppers Award, and that goes to Miss Monica White. Our next award is the APCO Award. It is a statewide award for Public Safety Communication Line Supervisor of the Year. Each year, the Virginia chapter of the Association of Public Safety Communications Officials chooses a dispatch supervisor from all over the state to receive this award. And this year, it went to our very own Miss Valerie Atkinson. She was nominated by her evening shift for this award, who say Valerie exhibits integrity, fairness, and strong leadership skills and makes sure everyone on the shift feels valued. Thank you, Valerie, for your commitment and leadership and for making us proud.
One for the man.
Congratulations. The next award will be the PEMS Award. This award is a 2020 Regional Award for Outstanding EMS Telecommunicator Dispatcher for the state of Virginia. Each year, the Peninsula Emergency Medicine chooses a telecommunications dispatcher who has demonstrated outstanding dedication and service and shown an exceptional contribution to the improved delivery of emergency medical services in the local, regional, or statewide EMS system. This year, the award went to CTO Table Abrams. Tabel, I'm sorry. Ms. Abrams' exemplary call-taking and dispatching skills are to be commended, and as well as her knowledge and quick actions. Thank you, Ms. Abrams, and thank you for your service. Chief Drew, I'm going to turn it over to you for the next few awards.
I'm just gonna stay down here if that's all right.
You need a microphone, sir?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
I think I got one right
All
here.
right.
Let's see if this works. Somebody say. Whatever Val's saying back there. Can you hear me all right? Does that sound good? All right. These are readers only. It's enough, Lavender. First of all, didn't Lieutenant Howser do an outstanding job? Can you give him? 2019, the largest crime reduction award. During 2019, all three precincts in our city experienced an overall crime reduction. We attribute this to new crime reduction strategies, working with our community, the information that we're sharing between our precincts and our citizens. And all three are committed to working with our civilian population of each of these precincts, communities and neighborhoods taking back ownership. There were some that really exceeded and set new benchmarks. So I first want to appreciate all three precinct captains and all three officers that work at each of the precincts. Patrol is one of the hardest jobs. It's 24 hours a day in all three shifts. You guys really do set the tone. You are the first interaction that most citizens have with law enforcement. You create the image. Who was that? Go ahead. That's good. The officers in patrol create the image of how this community sees law enforcement. Most of the time, it's an accident or a traffic stop, a 911 call. They're the first ones there. And I want you to know you're the backbone of this organization, and I appreciate you. But this year, well, in 2019, the award for 2019 for the precinct, which with the largest overall crime reduction in the center, was South Precinct. I'm going to ask Captain Bowers to come up and accept the award. And if there's anybody here from South Precinct to stand up and acknowledge, but I'm going to ask Captain Bowers to come forward and accept the award. He did a great job, great leadership, a very, very tough precinct, and outstanding job. We're good? Is there anybody here from South Precinct? You guys stand up. You guys did a great job. Congratulations, Jason. Thank you. Our next two awards are very, very special. The George C. Austin Jr. Leadership Award is presented to the Newport News Police Department employee whose positive character, heart, and ethic enables him to be a leader, not only amongst their peers, but also in their community. This year's award, recommended by Ms. Destiny Wilson, goes to Ms. Monica White. Just bear with me so I read through this, all right? Monica White's community program coordinator has been with the department since 2006. Her responsibilities are numerous as she coordinates and conducts programs for the community and the youth. A former employee probably said it best in their nomination for this award. I've never worked with a person who gives so much attention to detail. Her willingness to sacrifice her time for others is unprecedented, and I can agree. The time that she comes in away from her family, and I apologize to both of you, but she does tremendous work for this community. She also projects a warm, cheerful attitude toward the community. I've seen her resolve and handle difficult situations with community members. She has remarkable patience and tact. In the community, she goes out of her way to help people in need. She also is a tremendous organizer of resources, groups, and individuals. Ms. White brings a sense of grace, style, and elegance to everything that she does, and I am truly thankful. Thank you, Monica, for everything you do for this department and your community in receiving this award. Destiny, you wrote it up very well. Great job. I'm going to ask her family to come back up. We're going to get a quick photograph. I want this up. I'm going to need a little help with this next award, so I'm going to ask former Chief Cavello if you would come up and join me, sir. And I'll ask you to stand right here to my left. Chief, I'm going to ask you to hold on to that for me just for 1 second. Okay? Got it? The William F. Cavello Leadership Award. This award is presented to the Newport News Police Department employee whose activities have served to make that employee a role model and whose generous leadership, spirit, and sharing have improved the quality of life for Newport News citizens. I'd ask this time for this year's recipient, Master Police Officer William O'Berry, please come forward. O'Berry joined the Newport News Police Department in 2007. In 2015, he transferred from Central Precinct to the Training Academy, and he has helped train and mentor hundreds of officers. I would say he's probably trained half of the men and women in this organization today. He takes a personal interest and cares about each new recruit, pushing them to succeed and become compassionate, highly trained officers who utilize the latest tools and technology. They may not see it in the academy because he can be hard at times, but he's pushing for excellence in how they serve this community, protect themselves and others in our streets. Captain Brandon Queswell sent in a memo that I wanted to, I put it in these notes today because I think it's important. Captain Queswell, if I get it wrong, I apologize. MP O'Berry is one of the finest police officers that I've had the privilege of working with in the Newport News Police Department. As the Academy Director, I saw firsthand how much effort and heart he put into each and every one of the recruits. O'Berry has played a significant role in the police department by training over half of the officers in patrol. I have the utmost respect for Mr. O'Berry, and I am proud to have individuals like him in our profession. I know that Officer O'Berry is a big baseball fan, so I will leave him with this quote. Jim Thorpe, father, once told him, "It's not what you do when you walk through the door that matters. It's what you do when you walk out." That is when you made a lasting impression. Although MP O'Berry has moved to the K-9 unit, his legacy at the Academy will live on. I want to thank you for your service and dedication and all that you do. Congratulations, my friend. We all go together, get together. No, you're fine. Congratulations, thank you. Before you leave, hang out one second. Do you have a special presentation or go in front here and let you know?
So my name is Lieutenant Barefoot. I am the new training director. I've been there since, let's see here, November of last year in 2019. So when I came in the training division, I learned very quickly how I needed to rely on somebody, and that was definitely Master Police Officer O'Berry. The training unit felt the need to recognize him as he's gone on to his new career, which is an officer in the K-9 unit. But we wanted to make sure we thanked him for all the training he did in the last 5 years, 250 officers, and I know that he'll go forward with a positive direction, and he had a home run with his wife and family because he cares very deeply for his family. So thank you very much.
Congratulations. You got room for all that? For our final award today, just bear with me. I'm going to read through the whole thing, and then I'm going to ask 3 individuals, 3 very special individuals, to join me up front. On August 17th, 2019, Newport News police officers were dispatched to a gas station in Central Precinct in reference to a shooting. When they arrived, they located an adult female victim of a homicide. She was a mother of 3 young children. As the investigation unfolded, the suspect was identified, and it was determined that he was a known individual. This has been another victim of domestic violence in our city. Officers were able to locate the suspect's vehicle and residence, and because of the violent nature, a tactical situation was called. Myself and Chief Grinstead were at the initial scene. Chief Randall responded with the tactical team at the apartment complex. Officers were placed in strategic locations to ensure proper coverage and to provide, to eliminate escape routes and clear visibility from this location. Officer Robert Stewart and a civilian ride-along were in the rear of the perimeter, while officers observed what the SWAT team was preparing to enter the subject's residence. So as the entry is being prepared to be made, Officer Stewart, who had a ride-along that evening, were at the rear of that perimeter. While officers observed the area, an individual exited the individual, being the suspect, exited from an unknown apartment. It was not the apartment that we were watching. He approached Officer Stewart's vehicle and opened fire in an ambush-style shooting. Officer Stewart was struck by gunfire. During this, Officer Stewart was able to draw his firearm and engage the suspect. Simultaneously, the suspect continued shooting, and the civilian who was riding along with Officer Stewart also sustained injuries from gunfire. Upon hearing the gunfire, Officer Kidder exited his vehicle and engaged the suspect. He was able to detain him and able to eliminate that threat. Officers immediately tended to Officer Stewart, who told them to attend to the civilian first. Officer Bino applied a halo seal and other medical training addressing injuries. Had it not been for his training and experience, this tragic event could have been deadly for Officer Stewart, his partner that evening, and other civilians. Officer Stewart and the civilian were transported to the hospital and continued to make a full recovery. Officer Stewart was back to work much quicker than I expected. The suspect was transported to the hospital as well, but unfortunately later succumbed to his injuries. The loss of this young mother is tragic. It is, however, without question, as a result, the officers on scene had not responded the way they did. This incident could have resulted in additional loss of lives. For their actions that day, and I believe that all three saved lives, each other and of this city. For their actions that day, I'm going to ask Officer Bino to join me. He will be receiving the Life-Saving Award. I'm going to ask for Officer Stewart to come forward. He will be receiving the Purple Heart Award. This award is awarded to an employee who was seriously injured in the line of duty. And I'm going to ask Officer Kidder to come forward and receive the Department's Medal of Valor, the Department's highest award issued to any sworn officer, in an attempt to save a life of another. Congratulations to all three of you. I'm proud of each and every one of you. We're going to take a picture here individually and then as a group. But I would ask all of you to give them a round of applause.
Get one all together now. Chief Randall, Chief Hudson, you join me? Get a picture of all three of these guys. Maybe one of the city managers as well. Balance it out, right? Balance. All right. You all have plenty of it? Man, I'm going to let them get a picture with their family. Okay. So you better get it right. I figured the precinct captain. I saw you moving around. Okay. There's the right in front.
Didn't Chief Drew do a great job? Thank you, Chief Drew. All right, this concludes our award ceremony. I want to congratulate everyone who was awarded tonight, and thank you for your dedication and teamwork that we have here at the Newport News Police Department. Chaplain Reed, would you come up and provide the closing for us?
Let us pray. May God's blessing follow you all as you find new journeys to travel, new contributions to make, but always may you walk safely along the pathways of your dreams. May his gentle hand guide the decisions you will make and the passions that you follow. May your hearts and lives always reflect his love and truth. And may hope be a light within you that you carry into each new day. Now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.